Alright everyone, I'm here to give you probably my last Walking Dead review of the day. Um, and I'll do some more tomorrow. Um, this one is Season 3, Episode 13. So I should be done with Season 3 by tomorrow, hopefully. And it came out on March 10th, 2013. It's called Arrow on the Doorpost. And Rick, Herschel, and Daryl arrive in Woodbury. And they go into the place where they were going to kill Glenn and Maggie, and Rick stumbles upon Philip and says, "We've got a lot to talk about." And then it cuts to the theme song afterwards. Um, I was really interested by this because the governor and Rick have never become face to face. Like, they never talked really before. And I'm glad they finally get to. These are like the two leaders of this group, and I'm really happy about this. And the governor drops his weapon. Um, he doesn't want to fight Rick. He just wants to talk things out. And Rick does drop his weapon, and he has him take a seat. And what happens is Andrea comes in and says they want them to work this thing out because they don't want this to lead into a war. They want them to focus on the walkers from the walkers instead of each other. Um, yeah, and Andrea says you sent us. So then it cuts back outside, and we see Milton and Martinez, I think his name is, are out there, and Herschel and Dale are there. And Dale says, "What do you why don't we just go in there and talk with the governor as well?" And Milton's like, "We don't want the governor says it only wants to be him and Rick." And then he says, "What are you, the governor's butler?" And he says, "Actually, I'm his assistant, but I don't need to explain myself to you." And he says, "You shut your mouth." And then Martinez gets in his face and say, "Hey, for someone that can't use that's pointing a gun at us right now, don't you need to shut your mouth." So then Rick and Philip kicks out Andrea, says he just wants to talk to Rick. I mean, Rick even says just stay off our prison and won't ever deal with each other again, but Philip won't go with that. So Rick also wants to kick him out because he said he just came to talk to him. And Andrea gets kicked out and she gets pissed about it. And then Merle wants to go after his brother. They're just going to jump these guys because it's his brother out there. And Glenn won't allow it. And they have all this ammo now, and Glenn's not gonna allow it. I guess he's the leader now since Rick and Dale are gone, and Philip makes an offer with Rick. Says we need to put this all at rest because your guys may have the gun experience, but my guys, there's more of us, and you don't want this to spill into a war. You don't want to put you don't want to put your son and daughter at risk. And then he tells the story about when his wife died and how he was at work, and he got a phone call from the I guess the doctor said that they did everything they could, but they couldn't save her, and we found because she was in an accident, and he said that he was just kept holding the phone, and he knew that he would never see his wife ever again. Um, and Rick, and he even says that his wife called for something, probably just to check in, but he said that he called just to get her for dinner, and he's like, guess what she wanted for dinner? He even talked about, Rick even talked about, and Philip even talked about how he didn't choose to be the governor, he was just the last one there. And he says that he doesn't really believe he can keep everybody safe. And Rick talked about how he's not really the governor, he was just the town drunk, and he tore up his backyard, which I thought was a good line. And Ricky, and then before this had even happened, Rick Walkers had come out, and Daryl and Martinez and Andrea all go to take him out, and Daryl and Martinez are like, "Why don't you go first?" And Andrea just goes right at them, stabs him with a knife, and Martinez hits him with a baseball bat, and Daryl and Martinez are kind of playing this game of showmanship, what like the game of what you can do, I can do better. Daryl shoots him with his crossbow a couple times, and Martinez hits him with his baseball bat. And then Daryl just throws his knife at one of the walkers, and then one of them had cigarettes in his pocket, and they start smoking them, and they have this talk like, "Are you in the army?" And he says, "No, but I had a wife and that went through this, and he feels like he needs to do what he can to contribute." And they're like, "I know," and Martinez even says, "You know, no matter what happens, it's still gonna lead to war, right?" And Dale says, "Yeah." So they pretty much know that all of this is useless. And then Rick, no, and then Merle's gonna go out and get his brother. So this is his brother out there, and you guys don't tell me what to do. And Maggie says, "If you live with us, you have to live by my rules. How come you can't do it, but Michonne can?" And he says, "Because my baby brother's out there." So then he tries to go out, but Glenn won't let him pass. So then Glenn and him get into a fight, and he's about to stab Glenn, but then Maggie puts him on a sleep and they all hold him back. And Beth shoots a gun, I guess, so they'll stop fighting. And yeah, that's kind of how it went down. And then Glenn's keeping watch on the over the prison, and Maggie comes in, and he apologizes for making it all about himself. "I should have just left my space." And I guess she accepts his apology and says he loves her, and they start kissing, and then they have sex. That's kind of how it went down. And then there's finally a deal made with Philip and Rick. Says there's one way that you guys can that this can stop, and he wants Michonne. He wants Rick to give up Michonne, which I think was an interesting deal. And Rick says, "How do I know you'll stop attacking me?" And he says, "Just believe me," or something. And then they all go off in separate ways, and they're all alive, and it plays this music as they're going. And Hirsch and Philip is still gonna kill them though. He says, "Just when they come in, just have them kill Rick's people." And Milton's like, "What about your deal?" And he said, "Well, we're gonna have to kill Rick eventually because he's gonna be a problem." And then he thanks Andrea for doing what she could, and she says, "I hope all your deal works out." And then Rick just tells everyone that they're gonna go to war. But then Rick is actually thinking about giving up Michonne just so they can keep everybody alive. And he tells Herschel this, and he's like, Michonne's done her part in the group. Michonne did her initiation to get into the group. How come you're doing this to her? And Rick says, Are you willing to sacrifice one of your daughter's lives?" And then Herschel gets speechless, like, "I was hoping you could talk me out of this." And I think Rick even knows that he's going to attack him anyways. But I think he's like, what if he doesn't? So, yeah, that's kind of the episode. I know this isn't very a long review, but it's kind of how it was. And I thought it was good. It was the first time Rick and the governor finally came face to face. I really wanted to see them come face to face, and I can't wait to see what happens next. I don't have time. Actually, should I do another review? Nah, I'll do one tomorrow because it's gonna be tomorrow anyways. I'll be back tomorrow though to do another review. Honestly, but that's my review, and I hope you guys enjoyed all my Walking Dead reviews today. Check them all out in the playlist. Oh, I didn't hit stop. Check them all out in the playlist. Peace out.